Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Ayodele of africaX. Today on Immigration Stories by africaX, I'll be sharing the story of Sikholiwe Dube, known popularly as Chipo. Chipo moved to Canada 3 years ago prior to spending some time in South Africa and the US. She moved from her native Zimbabwe, and today she'll be sharing her experiences making the jump, as well as how the journey has been since she has arrived in Canada. Um, Currently, she makes her home in Alberta, and she'll be also be sharing her thoughts as far as considerations for new immigrants and what they should be spending their time doing before they arrive. So, without taking any more time, welcome with me, Chipo Dube. Hi, Chipo, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. It's a pleasure to have you here and to be having this conversation with you.
No, thank
Um,
you for having me.
Fantastic. It's always good to have people to tell their stories, right? Because it provides a tremendous learning opportunity, and I'm grateful that you would allow me to learn from you tonight, as well as share your experience with the rest of our viewers. So, moving this conversation along, could you just tell us a bit about yourself, whatever you feel comfortable to share pre Canada, right?
Okay. Okay, so my name is Chipo. Most people know me as Corley. And reason being, my family just decided to call me by my middle name growing up. I don't know why, but that's the case. So I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and I'm the last of 8 children. So shortly after completing high school, I migrated to South Africa to pursue my studies in communication sciences. Then in 2017, I migrated to Canada.
Okay. And so, how long were you in South Africa?
9 years.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that means you spent quite some time there, and that means you got to experience the culture before you
Mm-hmm.
decided to make the move to Canada. So
Mm-hmm.
what drove? Of course, I understand that you went for further education and started your career in South Africa, but what drove the move to Canada? It's quite a ways away.
So I think was it 2016. I just kind of got into that space and phase where I felt like I needed to explore and just learn more. And I think I just got tired of the routine and whatever was happening in my life. I just had this epiphany and I was like, I need a change. And I'd constantly tell my friends and my family, guys, I'm going to Canada. And they're like, whatever. Right.
Hot air.
And I didn't know how it was going to happen. I had no clue, believe it or not. And I had a friend of mine that I used to work with. She was the accountant at the company, and she'd always like help me find scholarships. And she'll say, you know what, if you really want change, I'll help you find links. I know so and so that can help. So it was a constant discovery process. And I like to call 2016 a year of discovery. When I look back, that's what it was. I was just on this constant pursuit for something better.
Hmm.
And so, well, things kind of happened in a way that I didn't expect, and here's why. So I got an opportunity to work in the US in
Okay.
2017 at a summer camp, and things just happened so fast. I applied through an agency, and I was ready to go, and I'm like, "What's happening?" When things kind of happen, you're like, "Okay, well, whoa, whoa, this is a scam." I'm like, "No, it's not a scam; it's real." So then I went to the US, and whilst I was there, because I stayed there for a while, I explored the possibilities of migrating to Canada. And what made it more of a possibility was that I have family here in Canada. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I managed to secure some funds while I was in the US. And then when my tenure was done working at the summer camp, I moved to Canada.
Wow. Okay. So now you said something about 2016 being the year of discovery. I like those kind of things. So we're going to dig into it just a bit more before I let it go.
Mhm.
Um, you had, according to you, you said you had this sense, this would I call it the restlessness, this sense of there's more out there for me. This
Correct.
just can't be it,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So I know that it in itself sounds uncomfortable, but what kind of things did you do? Did you just talk about it, or you decided to, just go after it and find out what exactly is it that I want, and how did that drive you to the
I
great light?
would I would basically read a lot, right? And the more I read, the more I got excited and curious.
Okay. Okay.
And like I said, I had people that I used to talk to, not a lot of people, one or two people. I'm that type of girl that doesn't have a best friend, but has a certain friend for a certain occasion. So,
Mhm, mhm,
so
mhm,
I would
yes.
happen to speak to the right person at the right time. And I guess fate had it that things turn out the way that they did.
Wow. That's interesting. I like it when people go on a journey of discovery and it results in good things. Because sometimes it doesn't, but I'm happy yours turned out that way. So tell me, when did you arrive
And
in
and and
Canada?
the thing is, oh, on the 18th of October, I remember the day vividly, 2017.
So can you paint the scenario? 18th of October sounds like probably you had. Did you come straight to Calgary or you were out in
No, I
Ontario
was in
first?
Toronto first.
For okay. So but if I can think about it, 18th of October suggests they've had one or two snowstorms. So everywhere is already kind of white. If it's not melted white, it's white, and all that and all that and all that. So tell me, what was that first day like?
Quite contrary to what you're describing, it wasn't snowing that day.
Wow, that's okay. That's something. I'll
It
take that.
wasn't
Tell me.
snowing. And believe it or not, I didn't feel uncomfortable being in a big crowd. And I think reason being, I spent 9 years of my life in Johannesburg. And if you've
Mm,
been to Johannesburg, then you're used to the hustle and bustle of the city.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for me, getting into Toronto, I was like, okay, there's people. Okay, what's happening? It's busy. I was kind of used, kind of used to that life. So honestly, I did not feel lost. And the very first people that I spoke to were Canadians. That being said, were very kind. Um, and I guess based on that first impression, I was like, wow, these guys are pretty cool.
Okay. You're the
Yeah.
sixth person that's telling me that in this series. That's six
And
out of
it's true.
six.
It's true. I don't know if I had a certain expectation, to be honest. The
Yeah.
type of person that takes things as they come. If I come across a person that is not kind, so to speak, I just leave it at that, right? And if I do
Yeah.
come across a nice person, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I came across a number of people that were seemingly accepting and kind type of people who are going to say, no, you're going the right way, go this, you're going the wrong way, go the right way. Or if you're looking for a takeout, this is the best place to go. So it's good.
Oh, that's nice. I'm happy that it remains consistent, right? With all the people I've spoken to, first days have been characterized by help from absolute strangers, welcome parties by people that they had no idea existed, those kind of things. I'm happy that it's been the same for you, because that just tells me that the warm, hospitable nature of Canadians is not a farce. It's actually a real thing, and that's something that I am personally grateful for. So you came in 2017. That's uh, probably a little shy of 4 years now, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So how's the journey been since then? What were the things? What has happened to you in the last 4 years? What experiences stand out for you? Yeah, how's it been basically? I think that's my question. How's the journey been for you so far?
It's been a very interesting one, and I'll say this because so when I arrived, obviously I had to kind of settle in, get to know people, get accustomed to the culture, find out what opportunities were out there for me based on my background and the qualifications that I had. So that took a while, and there was a point really where I was like kind of getting frustrated, right? I was like, okay, I'm not getting my dream job. This is not the reason why I
So
came.
let's recap that. Now, dream job versus reality. What was
Mhm.
that like? What was the dream job and
It
what
was an
was the
eye
reality at
opener,
the time?
and it was an eye opener. Reason being, when you're back home being Africa, and you read about all those places like Canada and the US, you have a different perspective based on what people say, right, and
Mm,
what the media portrays. And
yeah.
so I wasn't expecting like an overnight type of 360 turn, but then there were times when I wondered if I'd made the right decision, right? But then I'm one person that believes in trusting the process, whatever that is. And so I'd constantly pray about it and say, Lord, if you brought me here, then you must have a plan for me. So
Mm, mm. Nice. That's the self-awareness to be able to recognize that you're not just out there figuring it out all by yourself is a great thing to have because it helps you to, would I say, let go of the pressure that you would typically put on yourself when you say, oh,
true.
you know what, I have it all figured out. And then reality is telling you, no, you don't.
Yep. And that's what I constantly tell my friends back home. They're like, oh, well, things must have been smooth sailing and stuff. And you look good. You know, life must be good. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I'm good. Life is good, but it's not good all the time. It's good
Right.
sometimes, and it's all good at the end of the
You
day.
roll with the punches. I mean, one day that you get up and you don't feel like doing much. The other day you feel motivated. Next day you meet great people, you build relationships, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's up to you really to kind of figure out what you do with the opportunities that you get.
Wow. Okay. Now you just said something. So you said it's up to you to figure out what you do with the opportunities that you get as an immigrant. When you talk about opportunities, um, how do you see that now that you're here? The perception that the West is a land of opportunity and you can change your life,
Mhm.
is that a real thing or is it just hot air? And if it's a real thing, how does it fall on you? Do you have to do
Mhm.
some work? Tell me, what do you think about that? Because you just mentioned it and I was like, no, let's unpack that just a little bit.
I think that's true for Canada. Take for instance, when I first got here, I decided to volunteer at CCIS, which is pretty much how I met you.
Yes, yes.
And those organizations, I didn't get to experience that back home. When I completed my studies, you kind of basically need to figure out what you're going to do next with your life. There isn't a system in place to help you get exposure or to network with people. And most of the time, it has to do with who you know to get you where you want to go.
Yeah, where you want
Whereas
to
in
go.
Canada, there are opportunities. At the same time, though, they don't come to you, right? You need to be willing to reach out to people that can guide you. And I find that there's a lot of opportunities for that. Yeah, yeah.
So you need to basically what you're saying is you need to put yourself out there.
You need to be intentional.
You need to intentionally put yourself out there. You can't afford to go everywhere where people are going. You
Hmm.
have to go to the places that where you want to be will take you to.
Yes,
Is
talk to
that
people. Talk to
yeah,
people. Find
yeah.
out if there's something that you can do that aligns with your dreams, or at least will help you get there. Because sitting
Mhm.
back and expecting things to come to you, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Okay. So I'm going to take that and put that down. So nothing comes to you. You have to work for it. Even if it means working for free, you still have to work for it.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I braved the cold going to volunteer, and then some days I'd be like, what am I doing? But then those days turned out to be the most productive days of my life because of the people that I met. I guess for me also it was trying to acclimatize to the culture as well, trying to find out, okay, so what are people busy about or with, right? So there's an excitement of meeting new people. So I didn't mind spending a day downtown, drinking coffee and talking about whether or not you want to do your MBA or not. Like it was a good
Yeah, that's
experience.
true. I remember you were talking about whether you were going to do an MBA or not at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, nice. Okay, so I think a couple of things you said now. One, you've talked about organizations that give you an opportunity to meet people, to figure things out with the help of people,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of building a network and the value of a network, what has been your own experience? How easy was it to build a network, and of what value has the network you built in the last 4 years been to you as a person and your career in Canada?
I've met a lot of great people, you included, because I remember
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll take
I
that.
had a brief conversation with you when we asked to kind of interact during that
Yeah.
breakfast session. And it was interesting for me to actually to meet other Africans, right, and
Mm,
hear their story. And a lot of people that I met from that session, I still contact them today. They're still friends, so to speak, or acquaintances. And so for me, it made me realize that, you know what, whenever you meet somebody, it's not a coincidence. There's got to
yeah.
be a reason why you met that person. And look at what's happening today. You and I met you a couple of years ago. So
Yeah.
I take my interactions seriously, so to speak. If I realize that this person is the type of person that will guide me or provide the advice that I need, or is the type of person that I'll probably be able to contact one day and say, hey, remember you mentioned ABC? I think I want to do that now. So what do you think? So I've made quite a number of friends, and I've enjoyed networking.
Wow. I really appreciate what I've learned networking in Canada, honestly. And the reason I say that is the caliber of people that I get to interact with.
Mm-hmm.
High high quality individuals, driven, focused. We may not have a ton of money, the truckload, the Brinks trucks may not be here yet,
Mm-hmm.
but they're somewhere in the future and we'll continue to work at it. And I respect the fact that those people today um, constitute the bulk of my net worth,
Right.
right? Because it's just from connecting with them. You have a conversation that leads to a conversation and leads to an opportunity, whether it's a job or a business idea or funding opportunity or volunteering opportunity, those kind of things. So, um, like you're saying right now, the value of your network really can't be estimated, and it will only be as deep as you choose to let it. So for
True.
every evening that you sit out, for every networking event that you refuse to attend, for every coffee request that you refuse to take, that's just what I call it, disservice.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
You could be doing yourself a disservice because you
you
don't
could be
know
doing
the
yourself a
value
huge
that is.
disservice by refusing to interact. Wow, nice. Okay, so having been through 4 years of Canada, knowing what you know now, right? Is there anything you would have done different, um, either prior to arriving in Canada or within the first few days of getting here? Is there anything you think about that you're like, wow, I should have known better, or I wish I was smarter, or I actually wish I knew this. I can't believe I let this happen because I was unaware or ill prepared. Is there anything like that that comes to mind readily?
Not quite. I'd like to think that I was, well, back when I was at home, well, South Africa, that being the case, I was constantly trying to better myself, right? So whatever it is that I knew then, I
Mhm.
felt it was the opportune time to know that, right? Because I guess I didn't know any better. So based on where I was, I really felt like, okay, I'm at the right place. Um, I could have known a lot more than I did back then, but I didn't know what was out there, right?
Yeah,
So for me,
yeah.
I felt content with what I knew, although I was open minded to learning more. So I'm the type of person that loves learning new things on any given day.
Okay. So you just said something about um, being open-minded. What can you elaborate a bit? Open, just unpack that a little bit. Being open-minded, is it in terms of your approach to life generally, in terms of your relationships with people, in terms of uh, what areas would you say that open-mindedness helped you to get a grasp, or would I say sink yourself, immerse yourself better in the culture and the environments that you now find yourself?
Yeah, so it has to do first and foremost with relationships because I think
Mm.
for the longest of times I might have been a picky person when it comes to who I interact with, but I've learned to give people a chance, right? And to
Okay.
hear what they have to say. Then in
Mhm.
terms of my skill set as well, um, I love learning and exploring new things. So just because I have my background in communications or marketing doesn't mean that I need to limit myself to that. So
Yeah.
for instance, there's a time when I just went crazy over real estate for no reason. I just read one module and I couldn't keep my eyes off it because I found
Wow.
it to be valuable. So
Yeah.
just training your mind to learn more than you thought you'd be stuck to.
So basically, just exposing yourself to whatever comes your way that you believe could be of value,
Yes, correct.
right? So the example you just quoted now, you saw something in real estate, it got your attention, and you rode out the wave, learned as much as you could, and when you were done, you were done.
You move on to the next thing.
On to the next shiny thing, huh? That's nice. That's nice, and that's definitely something that I have personally found to be an enlightening way to live. I.e., take a look at things and decide, okay, you know what? Yeah, I don't know this, but I would like to know. So you just go ahead and you take the plunge and spend some time with it. Maybe read a book, meet one or two people, have a
Mhm.
few coffees, and then talk about it and see what comes out of it. And if it changes your life, great. If it doesn't, at least you learn something new, and then you can
Right.
take that forward.
You never lose anything by
You
learning
have
something
nothing
new.
to
You'd
lose,
rather
right?
more know more than know less. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Wow. Okay, I find that I find it interesting that a lot of the things that you're highlighting are things that I've had in a previous conversation. So you've spoken about networks, you've spoken about keeping an open mind, right?
Mhm.
And you've also spoken about just continuing a mindset of continuous learning. You just keep taking it in and saying, okay, is this useful for me? Is this not?
Mhm.
But even if it's not useful now, at least I know, and if it happens to come my
Yeah.
way, then I
There's
can better
definitely
handle it.
there's definitely a time when you're going to need it. I've had so many situations like that when I say to myself, if I had not read that book, I probably would not have used this word. So like my sister always highlights the fact that I use big words when I speak. So
Yeah.
apparently, yeah, I'm this huge vocabulary truck walking around. So, and I always say to her, I don't intentionally say
Yeah,
those
there we
words.
go.
They
Another
come
one.
because my mind is retrieving it from somewhere.
Oh boy. There you go with another one, eh?
Yeah.
Trust you to do that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So if now taking the last question a bit further, if somebody was going to call you, maybe one of your friends back in South Africa or even in Zimbabwe, call you today and say, you know what, I'm seriously considering Canada. I put in my paperwork and it seems like it's going to happen. What should I be doing and how should I be preparing myself? What would you tell them?
Read as much as you can. Find out if this is something that you really want to do. Are you the type of person that's willing to let go of your comfortable life? Because most people right now, well, that want to come to Canada, it's not like they desperately want to come because maybe things are hard. Yes, you find that situation, right? But then there are people that just want to change of lifestyle,
Yep.
right? So I say to them that make sure that you're willing to forego all the fancy stuff. Because then I had one of my friends ask me, oh, so people, what type of cars do people drive there? And I'm like, normal cars. And so, for instance, in South Africa, people are very, how should I put it? They're very mindful of their status, right, in society,
Yeah.
judged by what you drive or your type of
Hmm.
house and all of that, or how you dress. Whereas
Hmm.
here, people just live simple lives, and I guess they maximize on things like holidays. So it's like a complete 360, and you need to be willing to kind of adjust. And like I say, just find out as much as you can. If you have people that are already here, try and get an honest opinion. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your decision to make, and nobody can actually predict how things will go. So be ready to take that plunge.
Well, okay. No one can predict how things will go. And it's your decision. Your bed, you lie on it. You lay it, you lie on it. It's
Right.
your call, it's your choice. Yeah, and I find that to be the truth because at the end of the day, irrespective of what you tell them, you're living your life and they're going to live theirs, whether they choose to live it here or they choose to live it back home. So
True.
there's no amount of advice you can give that can make you responsible for their choices.
True.
Ah, nice, nice. Okay, so for me, I think what I've gotten out of this is the following: one, you have to keep an open mind. Two, your network is your net worth. It's
Yes.
not a cliche. It's
Yes.
real. It's the real deal. It's for real.
Absolutely.
And then do your research. But however much you read, however much you find out, the decision is still yours. The choices you make are still yours,
True.
and it's your life, and you get to live with the result of what you've done. So
Absolutely.
I find that to be very enlightening, and I really want to thank you, Chipo, for making time to have this conversation with me. This I find this really enlightening, and I appreciate you choosing to share from your experience and your wealth of knowledge
It was my
and
absolute
wisdom.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.